Out of all the new drugstore makeup that is coming out right now, this is the product I have been the most eager to try. I ordered this like the second it became available on the E.l.f. website. I knew it was coming on at like noon my time. I was sitting there refreshing my screen to get my hands on the new Soft Glam Satin Foundation, so we're gonna try this out today. I have a few other new drugstore products, some blush, more blush, plus some newer drugstore favorites that I wanna put on my face today. It's gonna be a full face of affordable makeup, so let's just jump straight into it. I don't think I've been this excited about an E.l.f. launch in a minute, and this is the first one in a while that I don't think is necessarily supposed to dupe anything. And partially because I can't fully tell, if you know, I kind of initially thought, I was like, is this supposed to be like the Fenty Eavesdrop? But I'm anticipating this to have a little more coverage than that. But I also think the price point is what tipped me off. Most of their dupes are above $10. They're more like 12 to 14, but this is only 8, which compared to most of E.l.f.'s line, this is definitely more on the inexpensive side. So I picked up the shade 13, which is supposed to be fair neutral. There are 36 shades in total, and they describe this as a long-lasting satin finish foundation that delivers a medium buildable coverage. Okay, I have a little bit on the back of my hand, and this might be too light for me, or it might be perfect. I think sometimes I think I'm tanner than I am. And this might actually be my shade. It's hard to say. I think I need to get a little bit more. It was so funny reading the comments when this was announced on Trendwood because they were all trying to guess what it is supposed to be duping. And I was seeing like a million different foundations named. It didn't seem like anyone had like a common answer. I was hoping it could be a Fenty Eavesdrop dupe, but I will say right away, I think the consistency is quite a bit different, and I am already seeing like a higher level of coverage than Eavesdrop. This is definitely a little bit too light for me, but that's okay. We can bronze it up. We can make it work. It can be even like one day something I use as a mixer if I need to. Like, we'll figure it out. As of right now, this is only available on the E.l.f. website and not in Ulta or other retailers. And I've noticed they've been doing that with a lot of their launches, starting on their own website and then not coming to other retailers for a pretty extended period of time. Like the mascara that I love so much, the Lash extender, for so long, anytime I would use it in a video, everyone was like, where did you get that? And I'm like, I bought it on the E.l.f. website. So many other products are just on their site in the beginning. I will say though, E.l.f. has a really great rewards program. I would compare it to like the Sephora Beauty Insider program where you earn points, and then when you reach like different statuses, you get different benefits. So, I mean, similar to Ulta's as well, I guess. They're all kind of the same. But I am like the highest tier on E.l.f. I think they call it an icon or something like that. And I don't even think I shop too much on the E.l.f. website. I'm generally only buying things on there that aren't yet on other retailers. But even through that, like I've reached their highest tier, which means I'm pretty sure I always get free shipping. I think it's always, or maybe it's over $15. It's a pretty low threshold regardless if you join the program and like you get a few points. But this time around, I also got money off. So it's kind of like Sephora. You could choose to get a discount on your purchase, which I did. I think I got like $7 off. So the blush was basically free. And by basically, it was literally free because the blush was $7. But I got that, or you can choose basically what I'm going to call point perks. Like E.l.f. has their own version. So you can buy some little like merch swag products, or not buy, excuse me. Redeem for some of those little swaggy merch products. Swaggy merch. I'm saying like swag/merch. Or you can choose certain makeup products. Like they had the putty bronzer. I think lip glosses also. So if you are buying anything from the site, definitely recommend signing up for the loyalty program. This is looking really nice. And I don't even think it's necessarily looking like too light when you compare it next to my body. Like once we put on, I would think it was like when I was seeing the swatches, it was looking too light. But once we put on other products, I think it's actually going to be a really ideal match for me. So this is what we're looking like. I'll also show you some really close-up videos so you can see how it's sitting on my skin. But I don't think it looks dry. I don't think it's settling into any of my dry patches. I will say, I think my skin is a little more well-behaved today. It's hard with foundations because some days my skin is acting up and some days it's on its best behavior. Today, I feel like it's doing pretty well to begin with, so I wouldn't say I'm putting this foundation through a considerable challenge, but I do think it's wearing really pretty. The way it's looking on my skin at the moment is actually reminding me a lot of the newest Fenty foundation, the Soft Lit. This has been my go-to recently. I've been wearing this pretty much daily, and this is giving me a really similar result on the skin, but slightly more mattified. Like this one promises a little bit more glow, whereas the E.l.f. one is described as a satin, and I think this is looking like slightly more mattified, but I wouldn't describe it as matte. I think satin is a really realistic description of how this is sitting on my skin. So let's do a little concealer. This is the Flower Beauty Get Real Serum Concealer. This was one of my favorites of last year. I think it's a little bit deep actually for the foundation, but I'm not too worried about it. I feel like I've been trying a ton of concealers lately, but they have all been high-end concealers. Like I haven't really tried too many at the drugstore recently. Okay, the blush I'm so excited about. This is from Hard Candy, and this is their Face Off Blush. It retails for $7.97, and I was looking on the Walmart website and I saw that they have two different versions of this. So this one is non-shimmery, and then they also have a luminous version. So for this finish, there are 3 different shades, and today we're going to be using the shade Double Take. So they call this a blurring blush. I'm so excited about this shade. It is like this very, very light pink. So already I'm thinking probably only suited for a fair skin tone, at least like this particular shade. Obviously there are a couple others, but this is just like really, really light baby bubblegum pink. It's very liquidy, so I'm feeling like a sponge would probably just drink it right up. So we're gonna try on a brush. I'm almost feeling like, yeah. Well, I'm seeing a tiny bit show up on the cheek, but not so much. Actually, it is there. It's just very subtle because it's such a light shade. It's not super punchy, but it is really pretty. It's like that very soft baby doll pink. I'm also envisioning this looking nice on the under eyes. That might sound a little funky, but like kind of for some mid-tone blushing or even mixed in, or even if you have a more of a medium skin tone and you wanted to use this again kind of mixed in with concealer to really brighten the under eye. I think just how bright and light it is could be really beautiful for that technique. Okay, it's not disrupting the foundation, so that's a good sign for both products, the foundation and the blush. And I think it's looking pretty, but I do think it is incredibly subtle on the cheeks. So let's go ahead and see what we can do applying it directly. This is typically not the way I like to apply any liquid blush because oftentimes it can end up a little bit patchy, or you'll get spots, or it's more likely to disrupt the foundation when you apply it on top like that. But that is blending out just fine. Like I'm not really noticing any issues with it. I'm not getting anything picking up. This is looking nice. I feel like Hard Candy is pretty slept on for a drugstore makeup brand, and probably just based on accessibility. They're a little bit harder to find. I know here in the US, if you have access to a Walmart, you can get it there, but outside of that, they're not at very many retailers. So I think that's probably why not a lot of people talk about them, but they're one of the few drugstore brands that still have really affordably priced products. Like this is under $8, and it looks really, really pretty. I feel like I went a little high. Normally when I do like a cream or liquid blush, I like to do that first and then the concealer second so I can kind of clean up. But today we went backwards, so I'm just gonna kind of tap around and hopefully camouflage my mistakes a little bit. Okay, I went ahead and grabbed my Flower Beauty Blush Balm for reference because I wanted to see how similar these shades would be. This is the Blush Balm in Bubbly, which is a very cool tone lilac-y purple. Here's Bubbly, and here is Hard Candy Double Take. They're not as close as I was wondering. I definitely think the Flower Beauty one has a lot more lilac purpley blue undertone to it versus more of a true baby pink here, but that is the comparison. I would say formula-wise, they're even a little bit similar. I think that the Hard Candy has somewhat of that gel-like liquidy texture that the Flower Beauty ones have. So if you like these, I would envision you liking this as well. Okay, everything from here on out is powder, so I'm just gonna set down my base so that we're not dewy anymore, but I don't think I'm gonna need too much powder because again, the foundation is a little more satiny, but this is the Colourpop Pretty Fresh. I have the shade 2 and I have a giant pan in it. I'm so excited. I feel like I'm gonna be done with this pretty soon. I was saying that in another video. It is like a very, very thin little amount left. So I also picked this up when I was shopping on e.l.f. This is their Primer Infused Blush in the shade Always Cheeky. So the Primer Infused blushes are not new, but they did launch new shades pretty recently. And there were initially, I don't know how many shades they had previously, but what the website said was that Out of the 6 shades that are on there now, 4 of them are new. So that leads me to believe some of the original ones are gone and they kind of switched it up. I never tried this formula back in the day. I only had the bronzer and I really did like the bronzer from this line. I still have it actually, but I am really excited to try this. But this looks so different than the shade that is shown on the website. So when I opened up the package, I was like, wait, did they send me the wrong one? This looks so orangey, peachy, which is fine, and I'm into that and I love it and I'll use it. But the shade on the website was like a very desaturated, almost beige, like it is a very light nude blush, and this is definitely a peach. So I would just start with that the shades are not representative of the swatches on the website, like not even close. This looks nothing like the shade e.l.f. had listed. That being said, I think I am really gonna like this. I don't think I have anything so peachy like this that's this light, so we'll see. Obviously we're applying it on top of another blush, so we're not going to get the full color today, so I'll definitely come back to you. I kind of am thinking I want to do maybe like a short or something with some of my favorite peach blushes. I did that last year, but I have some newer favorites, so if you want to see some type of format about me talking about different blush shades, let me know what you want to see and what that format looks like, because I was debating doing something like a short. This is really pretty. Okay, again, I haven't tried this blush formula before, and I feel like if you're into a powder blush that is matte, I could see you liking this, because it's definitely sitting, like, let me be clear, it is sitting like a matte powder blush. It doesn't have the sheen that some baked blushes or even some more of these like current day hybrid blushes that we have. Okay, does that make sense? It doesn't have as much sheen as a lot of the more recent blush launches I've tried, at least the powder versions. Like this is sitting like a true powder on the skin, but I kind of like that because I think it's incredibly blurring. Like the name Primer Infused is probably kind of gimmicky, but I do think the like idea there is that it is supposed to look very smooth and almost airbrush, and I think it does. I will say if you get up close, it is like clinging onto almost like my hairs on my cheek. Like it looks the way that powder looks on real skin when you get up close. You know what I mean? Like powder looks fantastic far away. Up close, maybe not as much. And for me, creams kind of do the opposite. Like if you're really up close, the skin's gonna look luminous and beautiful, but from far away, it doesn't have the same blurring and perfecting qualities of a powder. Okay, now a little bit of bronzer. This is the NYX Buttermelt. This is my favorite. I have the lightest shade, which is called Buttercup. This bronzer I've been quite obsessed with, but probably way too much on my forehead there. It got a little bit much on the brush. The formula is a bit powdery. It kicks up a bit. This is like way too much. Don't worry, I'm gonna save it. But a lot comes up on the brush at once. So if you're kind of dipping and swirling, you're gonna get too much, and that's what I did. So that was fully user error just now. We're going to fix this, don't worry. Beautiful sheen to it. It's a very, very natural blush. I think that the more rosy undertones that the shades in this line have offer this very natural, like sun-kissed finish on the skin where it looks a little red. But I'm just gonna take a little bit of my sponge that still has the foundation, probably like a little bit in there, and I'm gonna tap that over the edges here so I can kind of tone down the excess of bronzer that I just applied. I will tell you what, I think my whole face is looking really nice right now. The foundation is carrying everything else really well. I know that sounds like a weird thing to say, but there are times when a foundation doesn't want to interact with other formulas, and then like once other things get layered on top of it, it starts separating or looking a little bit strange, and like sometimes it's hard to tell which individual product caused that, but today everything is playing really well together, which doesn't always happen, so I'll take it. Also, I want to pick up still the NYX Buttermelt blushes. I debated grabbing one for this video, but then I was like, okay, Kelly, how many blushes is too many blushes? We're already doing 2. Let's save the NYX. But I'm taking a little bit of the Ulta Beauty eyelid primer before we do eyes. And then if you have not heard my obsession with this palette, let me tell you all about it. The Milani Whiskey Business Palette. This is from their Gilded mini line. This was a major obsession of mine last year. I mentioned it as one of my favorites of the year, and my love for it is back. I can't stop using this. I pulled it out again recently, and I have worn it every single day since then. So this is the like very simple look I do for every day with this. And then a little pencil brush. This is from Sigma. It is their E30, and I'm gonna take the deeper brown. I mean, there are two browns, either one works, and then basically just flick this over the outer third of the lash line. I'm really not even gonna do a wing. I'm doing just a tiny bit there, and I'm gonna clean it up with my fingertip, and that's it. And then if you accidentally went a little low on one side, just take the same sponge as before. Again, it'll still have a little bit of residual foundation and or concealer in there. And if you tap over the edge, you can really minimize the mistake, you know, we'll just kind of blend it. This mascara, super underrated. This is from Essence. It is their Lash Without Limits in the shade Brown. This is one of my favorite brown mascaras of the moment, especially like drugstore, but honestly, just one of my favorite brown tones that's offered right now in general. It is a very light milk chocolate brown. So if you're looking for a mascara that translates almost as black, I don't think you will enjoy this one. Like if you're looking for a very soft black / brown shade, I don't think you'll like this, but if you're wanting something that translates truly as brown on the lashes, this is one of the best I've found, and it's only $5. I also love the e.l.f. lash extender, but I like the tone of this brown a little bit more. And I feel like my lashes just look very, very long. Like it's still a slightly more natural lash look. I wouldn't say it's like incredible volume and length, but it's very much what I'm after. I know they say it's Lash Without Limits extreme volumizing, but I wouldn't say it's like the most extreme, but I do think my lashes look very, very defined. And again, I know I'm always shouting from the rooftops about a brown mascara, but I feel like, look at the color of my eyes. Like it changes the color of them. I mean, not really, they're still the same color, but the way it sits against the brown, I think it just pulls out a lot of the almost like green and reddish undertones that my eyes have. And the color just pops more against a brown mascara than a black. Okay, these have still remained like pretty under the radar from e.l.f. They're new-ish lip liners. These are only $2 and they're a little bit creamier than I tend to like, but I'm surprised they haven't gotten more buzz based on the fact that they're a great formula and they're $2. If you're into a super creamy lip liner, I think you'll love these. So I'm gonna do a combo of both of these, starting with some Spill the Tea, which is slightly deeper, and then Baddest Beige to kind of like color it in, before going in with this. These from Catrice are fantastic. This is the Gloss and Glow Tinted Lip Oil. Now, this is a pH adjusting lip product, so not gonna be for everyone, but this red shade is gorgeous, and the way it sits on the lips is so flattering and juicy. Look at that. It's like it erased any lines that I have on my lips. I'm going to leave a pinned comment on the foundation and how it wears throughout the rest of the day in the comments down below. But so far, it is looking really pretty, very satin. Everything's wearing well over top of it. My skin looks nice. It looks healthy. I'm a big fan. I hope you enjoyed this drugstore full face with some new products and some all-time favorites. Thank you so much for watching, and I will go ahead and see you in my next one. Bye.